practice, if we could go to practice, well, how would practice look different this week than any other week, if at all?
I think when I think of practice this week, I haven't done it yet, but it reminds me of like similar to a Michigan week. There's just a different intensity about it. There's a different feel about it, guys. There's just a couple more, fights or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. There's just a different intensity about it. There's a different feel about it, and it's hard to explain, put in words, but there's that, and we're going to be live, I guess, on the quarterback, so that's going to be a little bit different than normal, but that's good. That's something that we've done in the past against other teams that have similar type of offense, and it's done well for us, so it'll be live out there today.
Max, can you kind of go through what the week of preparation is going to be like from a timing standpoint? I mean, obviously an 8 o'clock game is a little different than some of the other things, and you guys like to keep a rhythm. How do you guys prepare for that time change?
I mean, in terms of the week of practice, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much we do our normal 2 o'clock meetings. We're here till 6, 7, whatever it is. Really, the only difference is walkthroughs and meetings and stuff on Friday, or sometimes pushed to Saturday. During the day, just to kind of keep us busy and keep us from sitting around all day. So, in terms of the timing of it all, we've been there before. We know what it's like. We played 8 o'clock games numerous times each year, except this year it seems like. But we'll just do our thing this week and we'll be ready to go.
Max, you probably have a better sense of what winning the league and going to the Rose Bowl would mean to the program, I would imagine, than almost anyone on the team. Can you just talk about that? And is that something you will address with the guys?
It's everything. That's what we talk about. I keep getting asked this question, and it's what we talk about in winter conditioning. It's what we talk about in summer conditioning and spring ball and camp. All those things that in reality, you don't want to do. All those hard things, all the stuff that making college football, making those sacrifices. That's what makes college football hard, and that's kind of the goal and the vision and what you talk about every day. In order to get through those things, and we haven't been there in a long time. So it's kind of a neat thing for us to have the opportunity to make all those things we talk about every time we put our hand up, whatever it is, all those signs on the wall Coach D has, to make that a tangible feeling, to be able to feel that feeling, to know what it's like, to say I've done it, to say we brought Michigan State back to where we think it should be. I think that just creates like I said, it creates a tangible goal instead of just a dream or a vision that's out in front of you all the time.
Max, you've talked quite a bit already about the difference in Braxton Miller and Carlos Hyde last year to this year. What about their offensive line and just their overall execution of that system? Do you see a very different offense when you look at them on film this week?
I think anytime you have a new coaching staff, like Coach Urban Meyer and his staff came in there last year, you're going to have some difficulties. You're going to have some things that are hard. You're going to have some guys that might not necessarily agree with what's going on, or they don't like playing the new type of offense, and all that's gone. If there was any of that last year, even though they went undefeated, it's gone now. Those guys know how to play the offense. They understand it. They're confident in it. Whether that's Braxton or it's Carlos or it's their whole offensive line, whoever it is. The biggest thing I see is they're just confident. They bought into what the system is. They know it's worked in the past. You see that, and they're confident. They can do it. And whenever you're confident in something and you know it's going to work, you trust the guy next to you, you're going to be better. That's why our defense has been so good the last few years. Going back to, I think they're just more comfortable being able to change pace at certain times. They're not a very extremely fast offense. They like to do some fastballs here and there in some key situations, but they really do what they do. They like to see what the defense is in and use the coaches as help figure out what to do.
Max, you're a team that plays with an edge, plays for the chip, whatever you want to call it. Does all the talk about Ohio State, BCS, 24-0, Urban Meyer, Braxton, do you guys feel a little bit overlooked? Does that fuel anything for you guys heading into this game?
I don't really care for overlooked, to be honest with you. We've been overlooked, underrated, all this stuff in football, basketball for years. I don't, from my perspective, I'm a Michigan State football player, so I'm going to think that way. But I'm just worried about, we win this game, and we're going to be talking about Michigan State's going to the Rose Bowl the right way, not the back door. They're the Big Ten champs outright. That's what we're worried about. That's what we're worried about, going there, being 12-1, like Coach D said. And worrying about things we can control. We can't control who talks about what, who says this, that, where Ohio State goes if they win or lose. There's only so many things we can control. And right now it's Tuesday's practice, and on Saturday it'll be the energy and the aggressiveness and the way that we execute plays.
Follow up to that, do you even not want to hear about the backdoor Rose Bowl possibility?
No, to me that's I don't even want to talk about it. I want to go to Indianapolis and win the game, and to go to the Rose Bowl the right way. To me, the Big Ten championship, the Rose Bowl is the goal, because to get there, usually you have to win the Big Ten championship. That's what it is to me, personally. The Rose Bowl, in my mind, isn't the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is the Rose Bowl because you got to win the Big Ten. That's how I look at it.
Max, can you address what kind of a swagger Coach D has put in this program, from standing up to Mike Hart and Michigan 5 years ago to when you were 4-1, he said if we're 11-1, we'll be top 10, to this week it's why not us? What kind of swagger has he given this program?
I think, you know, when you talk about swagger, to me, swagger and confidence go hand in hand, you know, and that's something that, you know, that's how we feel internally because of Coach D, because he's brought players that are like that in here. He's instilled that in us every single day in team meetings. You know, I'm very similar to Coach D in that aspect. You know, every time he comes up here and says something like that, you know, it gives me chills. So, you know, I'm similar in that way. But, you know, he's just, you know, you look at a football coach and he comes here every day and he does all the film and all the work and for Michigan State. You know, that's what he's worried about. That's what our coaches are worried about. That's what our players are worried about. So it's hard to, you know, take a back seat sometimes when it comes to, you know, things that are going on outside that aren't in our control, and we're doing all the right things. You know, so I think that's where some of that, you know, that edginess out of Coach D comes from, because, you know, we're doing all the right things. Oh, I love it. I love it. You know, I don't, maybe even too much sometimes, but, you know, I love it. You know, I think, like I said, it's swagger and confidence are the same thing to me, and we're definitely a confident football team right now, and that's the way we play.
Kind of building off of that, 40 wins, I think, in your 4 years here, 3 11-win seasons. How much do you think the perception of this program has changed, even just during your time to where it is right now? I
hope a lot. You know, I don't think it's changed as much as I think it's changed in my head. You know, listen to some of the stuff that's still said about us, but it's definitely changed. It's definitely taken on a, you know, people look at Michigan State differently today than when I walked in here and when Coach D walked in here. You know, there's just a different way about it, and it's similar to the way it was back when, you know, we were winning a bunch of games in the 60s and stuff like that. You know, I think you come to play Michigan State now. I can't speak for when I wasn't here. I can't speak for 10 years ago, you know, when I was a kid watching it, but I think you come to play Michigan State now, if nothing else, you're coming for a fight. You know, you're going to play a football game. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. We're not going to quit. We got some of the best players in the country on this football team, and you know, we're excited to be a part of that.
Coach was saying, you know, if you guys win, you're 12-1. Why not us in terms of the national picture? I mean, is that how you guys feel, that you should be recognized right there, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country?
Well, no, I understand. You know, he also said that there's some things have to happen. You know, I saw other teams have. I mean, you look at Auburn; they've had an outstanding season too, just beating Alabama. So there's a lot of teams that have done their part too. So. In terms of getting into this game, stuff has to happen. But yeah, absolutely, we win that game, we should be talked about. Not saying we should be in the national championship if something doesn't happen. I'm saying we should be talked about among those groups. You know, and if you know, we come out and win this Saturday, then why not? Why not talk about us? What have we done? What have we not done that you know, that takes us out of that argument? We won just as many games. You know, you talk about who we play, what we play. We play in the Big Ten Conference. You know, let's not forget that. You can talk about the SEC, whatever, ACC, whatever you want. We play in the Big Ten Conference with elite football players that go to the NFL every year, with some of the best coaches in the country. We play some of the best offenses in the country. We just make them look bad sometimes, so you might not think they're that great. But, you know, that's the reality behind it, you know?
Max, every year when you guys play Iowa, you say it's going to be a smash-mouth game. You play Michigan, it's going to be intense. How would you characterize this game in the way it's gone the past couple of years, and just sort of how these two teams feel about one another?
Very similar. You know, you think of Ohio State, you think, first thing that comes to my head is physical. You know, no matter who the coach is, no matter what offense they're running, no matter what they're doing, they're going to be a physical football team. You know, they got big guys on the offensive line. They take pride in, you know, being able to be a physical football team. And secondly is emotions. You know, a lot of people don't understand how many people from Ohio we have on our football team. You know, and when that emotion was the highest was 2 years ago when we went to Ohio State. You know, I think being in the home state and doing all that stuff, I mean, that was unbelievable. That was just as much emotion, I can say, as when we play Michigan here. You know, I mean, just because we had so many guys, so many of our key players, our leaders that were, you know, affected by the game for whatever reason. You know, I don't really care to go into it. I didn't really know anyways. I just liked having them have energy. But like I said, it's physical and it's an emotional game, and that's what I always expect for a team like Ohio State. You know, they're one of the dominant programs in the country.
Max, what do you remember about the mood, like in the locker room and on the field after the 2011 loss? I think it was Danico saying that, you know, he saw people cry that he never thought he would see cry, and it was kind of a telling quote. Just
talking about after the Ohio State loss?
No, the Wisconsin game,
2010.
the Wisconsin championship game. What was that like? And do you plan on talking more to some of those younger guys that weren't with you guys back then about just the experience and what it's like, or do you just kind of hope that they, you know, assume of how big the moment is?
I think they understand the moment. You know, I don't think that kind of goes, you know, being unsaid going against a team like Ohio State and the on the Big Ten championship game. College game day is going to be there. There's implications all across the BCS on who wins that game. So I think that goes, being unsaid. And I think if they don't know that yet, they'll know today at practice. We can be 15 weeks in and we're tackling Damian Terry, who's a pretty good quarterback. They'll understand that. And Danico said exactly what I was saying when I heard you guys asking that question. There's people who cry that I never thought I'd see cry. It was just unbelievable. And to me, I was a sophomore, so I didn't. To me, it wasn't the end of the road. To me, it was, we'll be back here next year. Just win next year or the next year. So to see the way those players reacted, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a game affect so many people. I've lost to Michigan before, and I don't know if I've ever seen a single game affect so many the amount of players that it did so negatively. Even for a week after that game. Usually you get over the game after a couple of days at the most. Even for a week, man, I remember guys like Kirk Cousins were still down, still hurting about it. We were able to come back and play well against Georgia and kind of salvage that feeling a little bit.
For you, what did you do that night, Max? Did you console anyone? You remember specifically about those next few hours?
Really, the only thing I really remember after the game is just talking to Isaiah. He's my classmate, he's my teammate, one of my good buddies. And really, I think he kind of thought it was all on him after the game. We were back in Indianapolis playing in his hometown, and, he gets that penalty. So I think he really took that hard, at least right away, right after the game. So I remember talking to him. I remember saying, whatever I said. I don't really remember what I said. I just remember going up to him and feeling obligated to talk to him, feeling obligated to make him understand that it was absolutely in no way his fault we lost the game. Coach D trusted him as a young football player. It was Coach D's call to go and block the punt. He blocks that punt, and Isaiah's a hero, and Coach D's, the best coach ever. So the fact that he had that trust, whichever way it went, that just describes the player that Isaiah is, and, now we know that.
Max, over here. There's a valid perception out there that this is a conference that strongly favors Ohio State through some of their actions in the past, letting suspended players play in the Sugar Bowl and not suspending the guy for the action Saturday. Is there a concern with this team that you're not only you not only have to beat the Buckeyes, but you got to beat the conference as well, because it means so much for this league to get Ohio State perhaps into the BCS title game?
First of all, I'm excited that no one's suspended. I hope no one does get suspended. I want to play their best. I think if we were in that same situation, they'd say the same. I think you always want to play the best. Like I said, we want to put ourselves in the biggest games against the best players, against the best offense, against the best defenses. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And then, and like I said, it goes back to things I can't control. That I can't control who likes who wants what, who votes for who. Who's voted all Big Ten, who's voted all this, and I can't control that. I just can't. I can control what I do today at practice. I can control how what I say to my team, what I say, or what my actions are during the week and during Saturday. And it's been good enough 11 times this year, so I'm counting on it being good enough again.
Max, back here behind the cameras. You talked about how negative that feeling was 2 years ago. And you couldn't imagine what you saw afterward. Can you imagine the same thing, only the exact opposite, the positive? Can you imagine how positive that will be?
Probably not. I probably can't, imagine it. But on the flip side, I've been a part of some pretty cool wins too. Whether it's a last-second win or a win over a big opponent or whatever it is. Those have been feelings that have been unbelievable. That's also why you play the game. To have the game come down to the end and you make a play or they don't make a play. So. It's definitely a feeling I haven't felt. We won the Big Ten championship in 2010, but it was split. So that, for me, I don't take away anything from that team at all. We won the Big Ten championship for the first time in a long time, and that's the hardest thing to do, I think, is to get back after a while. But I think I've experienced a certain level of joy after things like the Rocket play and the Notre Dame game. I'm hoping this one's one level bigger.